What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to more C4, your home to all things Philadelphia Eagles, reacting to the Eagles becoming the first team to go to 5-0 here in the 2023 season, defeating the Rams. And I want to say we dominate. That's a dominating victory. Might not look like it from the scoreline. I couldn't even guess what the time possession was. It was like we had the 75% of the ball was with Philadelphia in this game. And we defeat the Rams 23-14. And I think that was smart. We kind of played this game like the Commanders usually plays the Philadelphia Eagles, man. We just kept the Rams offense off the field. The Rams offense was on the field, and their backs weren't against the wall. Pretty goddamn efficient. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua kind of lived up to the hype. Tutu Atwell had a great touchdown grab. I believe it was on James Bradbury in the red zone. But it was an efficient day for the Philadelphia Eagles. And initial thoughts are, I don't feel like I'm satisfied being 5 games in to the season and still being like, well, the Philadelphia Eagles haven't played their best football yet, which is a little bit of a bummer. And I still think there are some questions surrounding Jalen Herz. But ultimately, I think us as a fan, even the most critical fan, needs to just embrace what Jalen Herz says and says winning is the main thing. Winning is the only thing. And we're 5-0. Jalen Herz has been good enough to get this team to 5-0. Jalen Herz has not played up to his highest potential. If, the Super Bowl performance last year, honestly, even fumble included, was still an S-tier performance from a quarterback. If that is the ceiling of Jalen Herz, hasn't even really scratched that through 5 games this season. But he's playing, there's a lot of good. If Jalen Herz didn't have that interception was pretty bad. At best, in Jalen Hurts' defense, it could have been, the miscommunication. A.J. Brown, for all we know, could have ran the wrong route. But I think ultimately, the interception in the red zone there on Jalen Hurts, that needs to be him. He needs to be able to kind of read the defensive back there a little bit. It was a great play by Ahkello Witherspoon to get both feet in. Another great interception. Reminds me of the pick that Jalen Hurts threw against the Bucks, where I can't even remember who made the play on that one, but I don't know. I don't even want to say. I would say D. Delaney, but I think that is he on the Bucks? But the Bucks had a similar type play, right in the red zone, get both feet in. I think you always need to credit the DB as much as you criticize Jalen Hurts on that one. Jalen Hurts also missed a wide open Quez Watkins, which, if you want to nitpick it, you can be there's just no chemistry there. Quez Watkins coming back in. Some quarterbacks, almost all quarterbacks, probably miss an open guy. But I think the argument needs to be made that Jalen Hurts last year, the Jalen Hurts we saw near the end of last season, the Jalen Hurts that we saw last year, that's yes, that is our franchise quarterback. Let's back up the Brinks truck. You feel like he would hit that. You feel like him missing those throws are a product of where we're at through 5 games for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're yes, we're 5-0. Winning is the only thing. The winning helps these mistakes and these costly plays get swept under the rug a little bit. But what happens when we don't win? Philly is probably not going 17-0. We have, after this Jets game next week, and the Jets just got a win here today, so I'm not going to say it's a layup, but you're going to assume that Philly, the plan is you beat the Jets next week, you go to 6-0, and then you got, the Dolphins, Cowboys, Niners, Cowboys. It's going to get tough. It is going to get tough. And you're going to want to stack as many wins as possible. But making the mistakes that we've seen in these 5 wins, you got to be a little worried about some of these other teams that we're going to run up against. That though the margins are going to be so small, that the mistakes that we've been able to kind of get away with, I don't know if that's sustainable. We need to start playing football and executing on offense the way that we did last year. And, again, it's literally we're 4 minutes in this video where it's been right now, and Philly still had a pretty good. Jalen Herz went over 300 yards passing. We had 159 yards on the ground. They couldn't stop us. We got pretty much every third down conversion that we could possibly get. A.J. Brown, $127. Dallas Goedert finally showing up, 117 and a touchdown, and a bunch of huge blocks for Goedert. Definitely Dallas Goedert's best game. But we had to get him going. I mean, yes, we've kind of had this little bit of one guy's not eating. We have yet to have a game where all A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith get to eat in a given week. And also, you might as well throw DeAndre Swift in that mix now, as he's become such an important skill position player for us. And obviously, that's just hard. It's just hard to have a type of game where you can have A.J. Brown going over 100, where you can have Devontae Smith going over 100, where you can have DeAndre Swift going over 100 yards for scrimmage. Let's be honest, tight ends don't usually get 100. I see Dallas Goedert should be the kind of guy like, 60, 70 yards and a tutty or two for Dallas. It's very, very difficult to have all those guys firing on all cylinders. But it did feel like a little bit, man, that Jalen wants to get everyone involved, which is great, right? But at that cost is maybe making uncharacteristic throws. Jalen Herz last year was incredibly smart and protective of the football, and I think he was reading the game as good as any quarterback in the league last year. He was making the right decision almost every single time, way higher percentage than pretty much any other quarterback in the NFL. Hasn't really been the case this year, and some of that is, it does feel like A.J. Brown gets pissed off on the sideline. We force-feed A.J. Brown a little bit. Devontae Smith had no targets, trying to get him the ball. Mistakes happen. Is that kind of something that's going on with the offense? I don't know, man. I feel like we're talking ourselves around in a circle here, where at the end of the day, Philly was still really good today, and we got the dub. But I don't know. Are we expecting greatness? I think here's what we'll do as we get into the player grades here. Final kind of take on this and the state of the Philadelphia Eagles is that we saw how well the Eagles played last year. Last year was like a perfect season from the Eagles, and we still didn't win the Super Bowl. So it feels like we need to be better than we were last year to get back to the Super Bowl and win that Super Bowl. And the fact is, we haven't looked as impressive this year as we did last season. So we're always going to be comparing this season's team to last year's team, which isn't fair, but also is fair because there's so much layover, and this is very much a run-it-back type squad, that I think that's kind of why we're being hypercritical about a 5-0 undefeated team, because we know last year wasn't good enough, and this year is a little bit below where we were last season. But it's definitely not all doom and gloom. Rams are a legit team. They're probably going to be one of those teams that's going to be fighting for a wild card spot all season long. Stafford looks awesome this year for the most part. Getting Cooper Kupp back obviously looks like he didn't just miss a beat. Awesome for me, right? Cooper Kupp, fantasy football owner. I was kind of hoping you get a little bit more garbage time points, to be honest with you, but I'm just being greedy at this point. I also had Jamar Chase and Travis Etienne who went off, and I did go up against DJ Moore. Whatever, we're feeling good on a fantasy front. But ultimately for the Philadelphia Eagles, stellar game. Jalen Herz, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, only got sacked 1 time, had 72 yards running and a rushing touchdown. Easily his best rushing performance of the season. Ran with purpose, ran with intent, where the last couple games it felt like when they call a design run for Jalen Herz, he's just like 1-2 yard carry, trying not to get hurt, seems uninterested, maybe protecting himself. Again, not trying to make it outright negative. He could just be protecting himself on these nothing plays, which is what you need him to do as our franchise quarterback. But today, very efficient as a runner. I'd give Jalen Herz. I gave him a B last week, and people thought that I was being very critical, and he should have got like an A+. But I thought last week he was teetering B+, A-, and then he called the audible, threw a just errant, not on the same page throw to A.J. Brown, got intentional grounding, and almost cost us in overtime. That took a massive hit. I think today, you throw out that interception, which I'm going to chalk it up to the quarterback. He's probably A, probably in the air territory, but that was a pretty bad interception, costly interception. The miss on Quez Watkins. I'd give Jalen Herz here a very strong B+ performance, and I think that we're close. We are very close. We saw here today, this was the closest performance to the Philadelphia Eagles we saw last year. I think out of all of our games this year. If we can just, smooth the last little bit out of the edges here of the 2023 Eagles, I think we're very, very close to playing our best football. And I'd love to see us next week against the Jets. Very good defense. I'd love to see us just put it all together next week against the Jets so we go in that really, really tough stretch of games firing on all cylinders. Because I don't think we're quite there yet. DeAndre Swift had over 100 yards from scrimmage. Another great game. I thought Kenny Gainwell obviously didn't do a lot, but I feel like at least two of those 7 runs were probably moving the chains for a first down. So the rushing attack, the offensive line was outstanding. I'm giving them an A+. A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 127 yards, $117 and a tutty for Goddard. Awesome getting him going. DeAndre Swift was a weapon out of the backfield. And just kind of the nature of the offense here. 5 targets for Devontae Smith, only got 1 catch. You just can't force feed everybody. And I think while wide receivers are a different breed when it comes to, production and box score stats, I do generally think we have a skill position room that is on the same page with Jalen Herz in that it's all about winning. I think Devontae Smith is not going to be pissed off that he only had 1 catch for 6 yards because we got the win, and it's probably next week Devontae Smith will go off for 150. So everyone kind of gets through here. It's just a different type of week, And I give the receivers today no real bad drops, no real bad plays. I give the receivers an A as well. Defensively, second half very good. First half when the Rams kind of got going, and I think the pros of the Eagles, Hassan Red exciting. 2 sacks, huge sacks back to back. Jalen Carter, 2 sacks. And it's not even just clickbait. It's not even being cheeky. Because Aaron Donald's on the other side of the football, Jalen Carter was unquestionably the best defensive tackle on the field. Now, Jalen Carter wasn't going up against the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, but he was the best defensive tackle. Whatever way you cut it, the most dominant defensive lineman in this game was Jalen freaking Carter, and I think we got to be very optimistic here as Philadelphia Eagle fans that we have someone truly special right now. Truly special. I don't know why it's highlighting everything, but Jalen Carter, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits, was an absolute monster. And I thought he was going to choke slam Matt Stafford through the fucking turf. It was a gigantic play. I thought we had some pretty solid reps as well out of Josh Sweat. He had a couple good pressures there. I think Zach Cunningham continues to be an underrated player here for the Philadelphia Eagles at the linebacker ring, especially because we just got him off the street. Obviously, Nicholas Morrow should have had an interception, and I guess I'll kind of negatively use it against him. I think Reed Blankenship continues to be just really, really serviceable to good safety for the Eagles. The negative, I just feel like our corners are not playing well enough. And I think some of it, we're not going to look at, say, the Vikings game. Remember the Vikings game where Justin Jefferson had 100 yards, a lot of those were on Slay, but Slay got his in that matchup too. There was just as many plays in that one where it's all right, Justin Jefferson might get matched up against Josh Jobe or something like that, but Slay would make some plays. And I feel like that's fine. I feel like we saw with James Bradbury today, the touchdown he got beat on was just a ridiculous throw and grab, which is fine. But these are good players. Darius Slay and James Bradbury, on paper, knowing when they're playing at their peak, they're 2 of the best corners in the NFL. Not really playing like that. They're playing fine. Sometimes they get there. Sometimes they make great plays. But it just feels like we're not getting a whole lot of coverage checks. It doesn't feel like Slay and Bradbury are making enough plays. And that is, again, kind of the same general selfish Philadelphia Eagle fan review of this. But we know that last year was fucking perfect pretty much, and we still weren't good enough. We need to be better this year. We need Darius Slay to not let Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua to get there sometime. We need these guys to shut them the fuck down. We need these guys, when it's a perfect throw from Matt Stafford and an outstanding route from a wide receiver, they're making plays. They're getting a hand in there. They're getting PBUs. We need to hold it to a higher standard than a fucking Darion Kendrick and fucking Kobe Durant and Ahkello Witherspoon, right? You have a corner room of Kobe Durant, Ahkello Witherspoon, and Darion Kendrick. You're hoping that, they're going to get some because they're not prolific players, but maybe they'll make a play here and there, right? And that kind of feels like that's where the Eagles secondary's at, where it's the other team are going to be able to move the football, but occasionally we'll get a play from Slay. We'll get a shutdown rep from James Bradbury, a big-time PBU, maybe an interception here or there. But they're not shutting guys down, and I think that is the standard that we have for a secondary. So it's not roasting Slay. It's not saying Slay's washed, Bradbury sucks, what the fuck's going on, these corners are bums. It's these guys are held up to such a high standard. They're paid accordingly that they need to be taking games over. They need to be shutting down these wide receivers. They need to be allowing the defensive line to get coverage sacks, and they're just eat the line. It feels like it's too much the other way. It's too much. The defensive line will force the quarterback to a bad throw, and then our corners can make a play. And again, that's maybe too ridiculous to be criticizing on a game that we only gave up 14 points. But I think it all just comes down to the fact that we know what it takes to get back to the Super Bowl. We know what it takes to get to, and are they playing at that level? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I'm not going to walk it back because it sounds like we're 5-0. We're undefeated. We're arguably the best team in the NFL. We're not winning the most sexily. We're not winning like the Dolphins are winning. We're not putting up points like the Dolphins. We're not shutting down teams like the Cowboys defense, even though I think on both sides of football, we think we have comparable units. But the winning is masking that. And I'm just worried that when we get this next tough stretch of game, is Jalen Herz missing and making some of the mistakes that he is? Is that going to come back to bite us in the ass? Is that going to be good enough to beat the Niners, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Dolphins? Is it going to be good enough? I don't know. is our defense that, yes, can get pressures, but our secondary, like, how is the secondary going to line up against the Dolphins? Right? How's that? I don't have a whole lot of confidence right now that there's going to be like, yeah, man, Slay and Tyreek, and you got Waddle on Jace Bradbury and all this stuff. Like, excited to be like, man, this is going to be a good battle. We're going to see some big PBUs. We're probably going to see some big plays. Like, right now, I'm like, I hope the D-line can slow them down, because I'm not overly optimistic that our corners are going to be able to show up. But we know the talent is there. And it's hopefully, much like the offense, same with the defense in the secondary, it's only a matter of time till they get it fired on all cylinders. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Am I finding ways to be kind of negative here? I still think overall defense for the Eagles, I'll give them a B+ here today. Some outstanding performances. Game ball for me. I'm going to split it. Jalen Carter and Hassan Reddick on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we're giving it to Dallas Goedert for getting it going. Great win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Feel good going in the Jets matchup, but we gotta get that, the icing on the cake. The cake's fully built, smells delicious, looks perfect, but the icing needs to get on there good. We gotta cake that shit on. We don't be skimping on the icing. The icing to be triple packed, perfect, sugary, give you goddamn diabetes type. So sweet, it's unbelievably good icing. That's what we are trying to get here with the fine tuning. Hopefully it comes next week against Jets. I love to hear you guys think about the victory, though. As the Eagles move to 5-0, let me know in the comment section below. First time, stop by, don't forget that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. Go Birds. Peace out. Have a good one. Love ya.